"Do you believe in second chances?" she whispered. He smiled, eyes burning. "Only if it's with me and you." Her breath caught, because once those words were spoken, there was no going back. Outside, the storm raged, as if the city itself knew everything was about to change. The bus doors folded open with a wheeze, and Noah Mercer stepped down into a morning that smelled like rain and pine. He carried everything he owned in a scuffed duffel that knocked against his thigh with each step. 4 years is a long time to forget the shape of a city, long enough for sidewalks to feel too wide, for the sky to feel too big. He lifted his face into the soft Pacific Northwest drizzle and breathed. No sirens, no keys, no metal clanging shut behind him, just the thin lights sliding over brick and glass and the faint rumble of a city waking up. Across the street stood the Northwest Renewal Center, 3 stories of red brick trimmed in a hopeful blue that had chipped at the corners. A hand-lettered banner promised families, dignity, a way forward. He read it twice, as if the words might vanish if he blinked too slow. When he reached the door, it opened before he touched it. "You found us," said a man with iron-grey hair and a carpenter's hands. "Adrian Cole. Folks call me pastor, even on Tuesdays when I'm mostly a janitor." His smile had edges of fatigue and something warmer beneath. "Noah, right? Come in before the clouds remember what month it is." Inside smelled like coffee and pine sol. Flyers bloomed from corkboards. Boots squeaked across a gym floor down the hall. Pastor Cole took the duffel without asking and set it beside an office chair patched with black tape. "Start date's next Monday," he said, "but paperwork likes a head start. Also, there's someone you should meet." Noah wasn't ready for her. He'd told himself to expect clipboards and thin smiles, to expect being sized up and filed away. He hadn't prepared for Camille Winters. She stood by the window, a silhouette in rain-silver light, thick and curvy, with a presence that filled the room before her voice did. Honey blonde hair fell to her shoulders in loose waves. A fitted wrap dress in wine red crossed her body like it had been tailored for her spine alone, straight, unbowed. Her eyes, blue as a clean lake, took him in without flinching. "This is our family services lead," Pastor Cole said. "Camille." She crossed the room with an outstretched hand and a smile that didn't apologize for being warm. "Welcome, Noah. We're glad you're here." He'd met plenty of professionals who said welcome and meant watch yourself. Camille's welcome felt like a door opening inward. Her handshake was firm, nails short, palms soft, but used to work. He caught a faint note of bergamot and rain. "We partner with schools, courts, whoever will listen," she said, gesturing toward a whiteboard webbed with names and arrows. "We keep families intact if there's a safe way to do it, and we tell the truth when there isn't. It's messy. It matters." Noah tracked the case lines, rent assistance, kinship placements, a grandmother's name in red. "Where do I fit?" "You've already done the hard part," Pastor Cole said. "You survived what could have broken you. Now you help us make sure fewer people have to." Camille leaned against the desk, folding her arms. The movement drew the wrap dress snug at her waist. Power looked good on her. "You'll shadow me this week, if you're up for it. We have a case I'd like your read on. The Coles, no relation to Adrian. Mom's in recovery. 8-year-old who's angry at everything that moves. Landlord's threatening eviction. The system's got 1,000 moving parts. None of them bend for feelings." "Anger I understand," Noah said. His voice came out lower than he intended, years of swallowed words still dragging on it. "What time?" "An hour." Camille's mouth tipped with the ghost of a grin, as if she'd expected him to hesitate and was pleased he didn't. "Coffee first. Adrian hoards the good beans." They settled at a round table while rain stitched the windows. Pastor Cole slid forms across to Noah, explaining benefits, reminding him that asking for help wasn't a debt. Noah answered questions. Parole officer, check-ins, the honest matter-of-fact of his conviction. He didn't rush, didn't bargain. He owed the truth more than he feared its weight. When he finished signing, Camille pushed a mug toward him. "You get to define yourself sentence by sentence," she said, almost casual, eyes on the steam. "People will try to write your story for you. We'll make room for you to write it yourself." He didn't know where to put the feeling that rose in his chest, gratitude that felt too sharp to swallow. "Why do you sound like you believe that for real?" "Because I've seen it," she said, and the lightness in her voice thinned. "My younger brother, Took me 2 years to learn how to help him without turning him into a project. He's better. On most days, I choose hope, and then I choose boundaries, and then I choose hope again. Noah watched her recenter herself. An inhale, a square of shoulders, the slow exhale of someone who had taught their own heart to be brave. Got it, he said softly. Hope and boundaries. An hour later, they climbed a narrow stairwell that smelled like boiled cabbage and wet carpet. The Cole family door bore a crooked peephole and a paper star taped at kid height. Camille knocked with a particular rhythm, the kind that says, "It's me, not trouble." The door opened to a woman with tired eyes and a sweatshirt that had surrendered its elasticity. A boy stood behind her, thin arms crossed, fury held together with string. "Shauna," Camille said, "thanks for letting us in." Shauna's gaze slid to Noah, flinched, then steadied. "You the new guy?" "Yes, ma'am. Here to listen if you'll let me." They sat amid a universe of small survival, laundry baskets, crayons missing wrappers, a single mug with a chipped rim. The boy, Ely, stayed standing like a runner on the starting blocks. Camille knelt to his eye level without making a show of it. "Hey, Ely," she said. "Heard it's been a rough week." He shrugged so hard it looked like a shiver. "Don't care. Cool." Noah said from the couch. "Me neither. I'm just here to make sure your landlord can't turn your couch into a trampoline." Eli blinked, a glitch in his defiance. "What? Landlord law," Noah deadpanned. "If your couch bounces, he can take it. I read it in an extremely boring book." A fraction of a smile tugged at Eli's mouth. Camille's glance flicked to Noah. Approval, surprise, the quick adjustment of a teammate realizing the play had shifted. She moved with him, seamless. "Here's the deal," she said. "School says you're fighting. Your mom says you're loud as a thunderstorm. I say storms come from pressure, not bad weather. You tell us where the pressure is, we help lower it." Eli stared at his sneakers. "Kids talk," he muttered. "About our place, about my mom, about everything." "Words can bruise," Noah said. "I've seen worse bruises than fists. Doesn't make fighting smart. Just makes it make sense." Silence stretched, a bridge they all pretended wasn't there. Then Eli sat, knees knocking against the coffee table. "He pushed me," he said, rapid now, as if the dam had cracked. "Said my mom's a junkie, that we're trash. I saw red." Camille didn't flinch. "I'm proud you told the truth," she said. "We can't fix what we hide. I'll talk to your principal about restorative steps. You'll write a letter you don't want to write. And Noah," she tipped her chin toward him, "knows a gym that teaches how to throw a punch you'll never have to use." Eli looked at Noah with something like interest. "For real?" "For real," Noah said. "First lesson is breathing. Second is how not to start a fight in your head every 5 minutes." Shauna wiped her cheek with the sleeve of her sweatshirt. "I don't know how to keep us floating," she whispered. "Every time I think we're steady." "We'll get ahead of rent," Camille said gently. "I'll make the calls today. And Shauna, your recovery milestones? They count. Don't let anyone small them down." When they left the apartment, the hallway felt brighter, as if someone had flipped a switch in the building's bones. On the stairs, Camille paused, hand on the rail, eyes on Noah. "You were good in there," she said. "Not loud, just right. Anger speaks a language I remember," he said. "Doesn't mean I want to live in it." Rain thrummed the awning as they stepped onto the street. Cars hissed by like careful snakes. Camille tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the gesture unguarded, almost intimate. He wanted to tell her that the world looked less hostile from beside her. He wanted to tell her that the word hope didn't taste like chalk in his mouth anymore. Instead, he said, "I'll be here at 8 tomorrow. I'll hold you to it." She shifted her folder to her hip, the movement drawing his gaze to the curve of her waist before he could pretend otherwise. She caught him looking and didn't pretend otherwise either. A slow smile rose, not coy, just true. "Hey, Noah?" "Yeah?" Her voice dropped, not a whisper exactly, but close enough that the rain seemed to lean in to listen. "Do you believe in second chances?" The question found the place in him that still felt like splinter and put a warm hand over it. He hadn't planned an answer, hadn't earned one yet, but the truth arrived anyway, surprising him with its ease. He smiled, the kind that starts in the chest and climbs. "Only if it's with me and you." The next morning, the October sky pressed low over Portland, a quilt of wet grey stitched with streaks of light. Noah Mercer walked the blocks toward the renewal center with his collar up, duffel strap cutting across his shoulder. He had slept in a borrowed room above the shelter, staring half the night at a ceiling water-stained like a map. Sleep hadn't come easy. His head was crowded with voices, judges, guards, the echo of doors clanging shut, and beneath them, Camille Winters' voice, calm and sure, asking if he believed in second chances. She was waiting when he arrived, already at the coffee machine, a thick file tucked under her arm. Her wrap dress today was emerald, hugging curves that made his breath hesitate. She looked like confidence carved into flesh and fabric, like the kind of woman who walked into a boardroom and rearranged gravity. Yet the way she glanced at him, direct but curious, told him she was still measuring what role he would play in her work. "You're early," she said, pouring 2 mugs. "Couldn't sleep," he admitted. "That's normal. The first week's back are loud. Everything's too bright, too close. Takes time for the noise to thin out." She handed him a mug, her fingers brushing his. Not an accident, not necessarily on purpose either. Just human contact, something he hadn't had without suspicion for years. Their assignment was the Franklin family, an apartment 2 bus rides away, where a mother fought the kind of battles no rehab manual could explain. As they rode, Camille briefed him with brisk efficiency, flipping through the file. Denise Franklin, 32, 3 children, recovering from opioid dependency, eviction notice tacked to the fridge. "We've kept her kids out of foster care this long," Camille said, "but the caseworker's patience is threadbare. If she misses her treatment sessions again, we could lose them all." Noah nodded, trying not to let the déjà vu swamp him. He had grown up in homes like this. He had watched his own mother pawn furniture to keep food in the fridge. He knew how quickly the system labelled families lost causes. When Denise opened the door, her eyes flickered with embarrassment, then resignation. She had been through this drill before, caseworkers in nice clothes, voices clipped with judgment. Camille surprised her. She knelt to eye level with the smallest child, a girl with braids tied in mismatched beads. "Hi, sweetheart. What's your name?" "Kayla," the girl whispered. "That's a strong name," Camille said. "Do you like puzzles? Because Noah here is a champion puzzle master." Noah blinked, but caught her cue. He crouched, pulling a bent deck of cards from his pocket, a trick he used in prison to pass time. "Want to see a puzzle you can shuffle?" he asked. Kayla nodded, curiosity loosening her shoulders. Within minutes, she was giggling at his clumsy sleight of hand, her laughter a fragile bridge across the cluttered living room. Camille took the moment to speak quietly with Denise, her tone gentle but unyielding. "The judge will ask for proof of progress. Missing treatment undermines everything. What's standing in your way?" "My mom watches the kids when I go," Denise muttered, twisting her hands. "But she's been sick, and the bus is late half the time. I'm trying, I swear." "Trying matters," Camille said, "but we need structure. Noah," she glanced over, "you know the rec center schedule. Could Denise bring the kids there twice a week? Safe space, snacks, homework help." "Absolutely," Noah said, surprising himself with how certain he sounded. "I can run the after-school program shift." Denise blinked at him. "Why would you do that?" "Because someone should have done it for me," he said simply. For the next hour, they mapped out transportation routes, scheduled counseling, even set a grocery budget. Camille orchestrated, but Noah anchored the conversation with pieces of his own story. He admitted how he once skipped probation meetings because the bus stop felt like a trap, how shame made him lie to everyone who tried to help until he ran out of lies. His honesty cut through Denise's defenses. She leaned in, nodding as if his words carried a weight no textbook could supply. When they left, the drizzle had turned to rain. Camille paused under the building's cracked awning, hugging the file to her chest. "You were remarkable in there." Noah shrugged, though the praise hit deep. "I just told the truth." "Exactly," she said. "Most people in this work are afraid of truth. They cushion it, sterilize it, bury it in forms. Families can smell that a mile away. You," her eyes softened, "you made them feel seen." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It hummed with something electric, the kind of stillness that asks if the next step will be personal, not professional. Noah shifted, clearing his throat. "Careful, Camille. If you keep complimenting me, I might start thinking I belong here." Her lips curved, slow and dangerous. "Maybe you do." Later that week, another test arrived. They were assigned to check on the Myers boy, 13, suspended for fighting, teetering on the edge of juvenile hall. Camille drove, windshield wipers thrashing against steady rain. She briefed quickly. Mother works double shifts. Father gone. Teachers say he's unreachable. I say no kid is unreachable. At the apartment, they found the boy, Evan, slouched on the couch, hood over his eyes, TV blaring. Camille tried the official line first. Responsibility, consequences, pathways. He didn't flinch. Finally, Noah sat across from him, elbows on knees. You like fighting because it makes you feel bigger, right? Like nobody can laugh at you. Evan's hood lifted a fraction. So what? So I did the same thing, Noah said. Only difference is I didn't stop until someone bled. Want to know what that cost me? He held Evan's stare until the boy shifted uncomfortably. 4 years in a box where the lights never went off. 4 years eating food that tasted like punishment. 4 years proving every teacher who gave up on me was right. You want that? No, Evan muttered. Then prove them wrong. Come by the centre tomorrow. I'll show you the heavy bag. Better to punch canvas than people. For the first time, Evan smiled, a quick, sharp thing, half dare, half hope. On the drive back, Camille's hands tightened on the wheel. You're reckless, she said, though her voice trembled with something closer to admiration. You just promised a kid you'd show up for him. If you fail, I won't, Noah said. She exhaled, shaking her head. God help me. I believe you. That night, Noah walked the city streets alone, replaying the day. The neon glow of diners reflected in puddles. Every corner carried ghosts of who he used to be, angry, lost, one bad choice away from another sentence. But now there was Camille, fierce and luminous, and kids looking at him like maybe he wasn't broken. He thought of her question again, do you believe in second chances? And realized the answer was becoming less about belief and more about need. Because for the first time in years, Noah wanted a future, and it had her smile written all over it. Rain came down in silver threads, stitching the Portland skyline into one endless blur. Camille parked her Civic outside the renewal center, fingers drumming on the steering wheel. She'd been steady all morning, but now her pulse skipped. She wasn't sure when Noah Mercer had begun to occupy more of her thoughts than their case files, but it unnerved her. He had a way of seeing through defenses, hers included, and she wasn't used to being the one exposed. When he appeared from the front doors, duffel slung across his back, she forced her expression into the professional calm she wore like armor. But the sight of him, tall, shoulders broad beneath a plain button-down, eyes dark and heavy with some secret weight, unravelled her composure. He opened the passenger door and slid in, rain beads clinging to his short hair. "Morning," he said, voice low but threaded with warmth. "Morning. We've got to follow up with the Franklins." She handed him a folder, her knuckles brushing his hand. Electricity again. She pulled back quickly, but not quickly enough to miss the flicker in his eyes. The visit went well. Denise had attended treatment twice. Kayla proudly showed them her new homework folder, and Eli even admitted he hadn't fought all week. But afterward, as they drove back, Camille noticed Noah staring out the window, jaw tight. "You're quiet," she said. "Got a text from my brother," he muttered. "Jamal, he's in college. Says the DA's office is asking about me for his internship background check." Camille winced. She knew too well how one man's past bled into another's opportunities. "What did you tell him?" "The truth. That I'll always be his shadow." Noah's fists closed on his knees. "It's not fair. He did everything right, and they're still judging him because of me." She pulled over at a corner cafe, ignoring his protest. Inside, the air smelled of espresso and cinnamon. They sat at a small table by the window, rain tapping the glass. "Listen to me," she said, leaning forward. "You're not your past. You're not a rap sheet. You're a man showing up for families no one else believes in. That matters. Jamal knows that, and I know it too." His eyes lifted to hers, searching, uncertain. "Why do you say things like that? Like you actually see me?" "Because I do." Her voice softened. "And maybe because I need someone to see me too." The air between them thickened, full of confessions unsaid. Camille caught herself leaning closer before her phone vibrated on the table, slicing the moment. She checked the screen and stiffened. Vincent, her ex-husband. She stepped outside to answer, shielding herself under the awning. Noah watched through the window, reading her body language, tight shoulders, clipped replies, her free hand trembling. When she came back, she tried for composure but couldn't disguise the strain. That was Vincent, she said. He wants to meet. Says it's about custody. Noah's gaze sharpened. You want me to come? You don't have to. This isn't work. It's messy. I told you before, he said, steady, certain. I'm your partner, messy or not. They met Vincent that evening in a downtown coffee shop. He arrived in uniform, boots polished, authority dripping from every line of his posture, stocky, shorter than Noah, but brimming with the kind of force that comes from wielding power. He greeted Camille with a stiff hug, then turned to Noah, his handshake a contest of pressure. So you're the one she's been spending so much time with, Vincent said, eyes narrowing. Professional time, Camille said sharply. Let's stay on topic. Fine. Topic is Isabella. She's been acting out in school, needs stability, more time with her father. Vincent's tone was casual, but his eyes glittered with calculation. She has stability, Camille said. What she needs is counselling. Vincent leaned back, smirking. Or maybe she needs less distraction at home. Maybe she needs a mother who isn't caught up with. His gaze flicked to Noah. New priorities. The words landed like stones. Noah remained silent, though his jaw clenched. Camille flushed with anger. My personal life isn't up for discussion. Vincent's smirk widened. Maybe the court should decide that. He turned to Noah suddenly, voice cutting. I know who you are, Mercer. Aggravated assault, 4 years in Pelican Bay. You think I'd let a felon get near my daughter? The cafe grew hushed. Noah's stillness was taut as wire. He didn't rise, didn't lash out. His voice, when it came, was low, controlled. You're right, I made mistakes. I hurt people, I paid for it. But at least I own what I've done. Can you say the same, officer? Vincent's face flushed red. You don't know me. I know men who mistake control for love. I've seen how that story ends. Noah's tone carried steel now. Camille intervened, voice sharp. Enough. Vincent, stop weaponizing my life. If you file for custody modification, we'll fight it, and we'll win. Vincent pushed back his chair, uniform creaking. We'll see. He strode out, leaving a trail of tension in his wake. Camille sank into her chair, breath shaking. I'm sorry, she said to Noah. He had no right to throw your past at you. Noah stared out the window, rain blurring the neon beyond. He's not wrong, though. My record, it's a weapon in his hands. It could hurt you. Don't you dare, she said fiercely. Don't you dare let him make you believe you don't belong in my life. It's not about belonging, Noah whispered. It's about what's best for Isabella. And right now, I'm not sure I'm that. Camille reached across the table, catching his hand. You are good for me, and you'd be good for her. I won't let him take that away. Their eyes met, and for a long moment neither moved. The rain beat harder, drowning the city in sound. Noah's voice broke the silence, raw and vulnerable. Camille, I think I'm falling for you, and it scares the hell out of me. Her breath caught, her pulse quickening. She stood slowly, came around to his side and looked down at him, eyes burning. Do you believe in second chances? She whispered. He rose, close enough to feel her warmth, to see the hope trembling in her blue eyes, his lips curved, small and certain. Only if it's with me and you. The kiss came like surrender and promise all at once. Gentle at first, then deeper, fierce with everything they'd been holding back. When they finally broke apart, foreheads touching, Camille whispered, Then we take this chance together. Whatever Vincent tries, whatever comes, we face it together. Noah closed his eyes, the words soaking into him like rain into dry ground. For the first time since stepping off that bus, he believed the future might hold more than survival. It might hold love. The courthouse smelled faintly of old wood and rain-soaked coats. Camille sat stiff in her chair at the plaintiff's table, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles whitened. She'd dressed carefully that morning, navy suit, pearls at her throat, hair smoothed into soft waves. The look of a professional, a mother who had nothing to hide. Still her heart beat fast, every thud echoing the weight of what was at stake. Isabella, her little girl's future. Noah sat beside her, his presence grounding her even as she worried it might cost her everything. His dark eyes scanned the room, steady, unreadable. He'd insisted on being here despite her hesitation. You're my partner, he'd said. Personal or professional, I don't step aside. Now he looked like a wall she could lean against, even if the world tried to crack him. Across the aisle, Vincent sat in uniform, posture rigid, exuding authority. His lawyer, slick in a grey suit, shuffled papers with quiet confidence. Vincent didn't look at Camille. He looked at Noah, a challenge burning in his eyes. Camille forced herself not to flinch. The bailiff called for order, and Judge Harmon entered, a woman with silver hair pulled into a tight bun. Her gaze swept the courtroom with no patience for theatrics. "We're here regarding custody of Isabella Torres. I'll hear from both parties. Let's begin." Camille's attorney, Catherine Brooks, stood first. "Your Honour, my client has provided a stable, loving home for Isabella. She is employed full-time in family services, has a consistent residence, and has demonstrated unwavering dedication to her daughter's well-being. While Mr. Torres raises concerns about Miss Winters' personal life, we intend to show those concerns are unfounded." Vincent's lawyer countered, his voice smooth but cutting. "Your Honour, Miss Winters may appear competent professionally, but her personal choices jeopardize Isabella's stability. She is romantically involved with Mr. Noah Mercer, a convicted felon. This raises serious concerns about the environment in which Isabella is being raised." A murmur rippled through the small gallery. Camille's stomach twisted. She glanced at Noah, who remained motionless, jaw tight but eyes calm. He gave her the smallest nod, as if to say, "I can take it." Vincent took the stand first. He spoke with practiced ease, weaving a narrative of fatherly concern. "Isabella needs stability," he said. "She's acting out in school. I believe she needs more time with me, less exposure to distractions in her mother's home. I respect the work Camille does, but long hours and questionable personal choices, they're not in our daughter's best interest." When Catherine cross-examined, she pressed him on specifics. "Mr. Torres, can you provide evidence that Miss Winters' relationship has harmed Isabella?" Vincent shifted, lips thinning. "Not yet. But why risk it? Do we wait until there is harm? Or is this," Catherine pressed, "about your discomfort with Miss Winters moving forward in her personal life?" Vincent bristled, but the judge cut in before he could launch into a tirade. "Stick to facts, Mr. Torres. Speculation has no place here." Then it was Camille's turn. She spoke with quiet intensity, describing her routines with Isabella, the homework sessions, the bedtime stories, the way Isabella flourished with consistency. "My daughter is my world," she said, voice catching just slightly. "Every decision I make with her in mind, including seeking counselling to help her through the divorce, despite Mr. Torres's objections." When Vincent's lawyer cross-examined, his tone dripped with insinuation. "And yet you're involved with Mr. Mercer. Are you aware of his record?" "Yes," Camille said firmly. "I'm aware, and I'm also aware of the man he is now. The work he does alongside me every day helping families like ours. My personal relationship does not compromise my ability to parent." The lawyer smirked. "You expect the court to believe your daughter will not be influenced by a man with a violent history?" Noah shifted, about to speak, but Camille placed her hand over his, steady. "I expect the court to judge me by my actions as a mother, not by who I choose to trust with my heart." The turning point came with Dr. Angela Foster, the child psychologist assigned to evaluate Isabella. She spoke with clinical precision. "In my sessions with Isabella, she expressed love for both parents. However, she consistently described her mother's home as a place of comfort and security. While she enjoys her father's visits, she displayed anxiety regarding parental conflict. Importantly, she emphasized feeling most understood by her mother." "And do you find Miss Winters fit to continue as primary custodian?" Catherine asked. "Absolutely," Dr. Foster replied. "Miss Winters demonstrates excellent parenting instincts. Isabella's behavioral issues appear tied to the stress of the custody dispute itself, not deficiencies in her mother's care." The judge recessed for deliberation. In the hallway outside, Camille paced, nerves buzzing like static. Noah sat on the bench watching her. Finally, she stopped in front of him, voice low. "If I lose her—" "You won't," he said quietly. "You can't know that. I know you're the best mother she could have, and I know the truth matters. Maybe not to Vincent, but to the judge, to Isabella." His hand reached out, hesitant, then found hers. Warm, solid. The bailiff's call pulled them back inside. Everyone rose as Judge Harmon returned, papers in hand. The room held its breath. "After reviewing testimony and evidence," she said, voice clear, "the court finds it in Isabella Torres's best interest to maintain the current custody arrangement. Miss Winters will retain primary custody, with Mr. Torres continuing visitation as scheduled." A rush of air left Camille's lungs, relief so sharp it was almost pain. The judge turned her gaze to Vincent. "Mr. Torres, your concerns about your daughter's well-being are noted, but using custody as a weapon against your ex-wife is detrimental to Isabella. I advise focusing on co-parenting rather than litigation." The gavel struck, final and echoing. Outside, rain slicked the courthouse steps. Camille clutched Noah's hand, her body trembling with release. Tears blurred her vision, but she smiled through them. "We did it. She stays with me." "No," Noah corrected softly. "You did it. You fought for her and won." She shook her head, laughing through tears. "We fought for her, together." At that moment, Isabella's small figure appeared at the bottom of the steps with Maria, Camille's best friend. Camille ran to her daughter, sweeping her into her arms. "You're staying with me, baby. Always." "Daddy can't take me away?" Isabella asked, eyes wide. "No one can," Camille whispered fiercely. "We're a team, you and me." From a few steps back, Noah watched them, mother and daughter clinging to each other in the rain, love fierce and unbreakable. Something inside him cracked open, filling with light. For the first time since prison, he felt like maybe the world could forgive him. Or at least that she already had. Camille lifted her face toward him, hair plastered by rain, eyes shining. "Come here," she said. When he stepped forward, Isabella studied him with quiet curiosity. "This is Noah," Camille said softly. "My friend, my partner." Isabella blinked, then extended her small hand. "Hi." Noah crouched, taking it gently. "Hi, Isabella, I've heard a lot about you." Her gaze was solemn, but there was no fear, only cautious interest. Camille's heart swelled, watching the fragile beginnings of trust form between them. As they stood together in the rain, Camille realized something. Second chances weren't just for men with records or women with broken marriages. They were for children learning resilience, for families patching themselves together, for love daring to rise from wreckage. And right then, she believed in them completely. The spring air was softer now, warmed by a shy sun breaking through Portland's endless grey. 6 months had passed since the courthouse battle, and in that time, life had shifted in ways Camille Winters once thought impossible. The empty storefront on Hawthorne Boulevard had been transformed into something alive. Renewal House. Painted walls glowed with community murals, children's drawings cluttered bulletin boards, and the smell of fresh coffee mingled with the sound of laughter drifting from the common room. Camille stood in the middle of it, arms folded, trying to take it all in. Volunteers moved briskly, setting up tables for the grand opening. Flyers announcing family counselling and after-school mentorship fluttered at the entrance. Parents she'd helped hugged her with tears in their eyes. This wasn't just a program anymore, it was a promise. Noah was across the room, hammer in hand, fixing the last of the signage. Sweat darkened his shirt at the collar, his movements steady and purposeful. He looked more at home here than she'd ever seen him anywhere else. Children trailed after him, peppering him with questions, laughing when he handed them nails to hold like treasures. To them, he wasn't a man defined by mistakes. He was just Mr. Noah, the guy who listened, who showed them how to box shadows and speak anger into a punching bag instead of fists. Isabella skipped between them both, wearing her favourite yellow sundress, her small hands smudged with paint from decorating cupcakes. She had taken to Noah in her own cautious way. At first she'd treated him like a test, asking direct questions no adult would dare. "Will you be nice to my mom? Will you try to be my dad?" His answers had been simple, honest. Always. Never. Just your friend. That honesty had earned her trust. Now, watching her chatter away at him while she tugged at his sleeve, Camille felt her heart stretch in places she hadn't known were closed. When the speeches began, she stepped to the front. Her voice was clear, carrying across the crowded space. She spoke about families who deserved chances, about children who deserved safety without judgment, about mistakes not being life sentences. She spoke about her daughter, and about community, and about hope as an action, not a word. Applause filled the air, warm and fierce. Then Noah joined her, awkward at first, unused to eyes on him. "I'm not a man who ever expected to stand here," he began. "I thought the only thing waiting for me after prison was silence. But then Camille and this centre gave me a place to prove I could be more than my worst choices. And now," he paused, gaze sweeping the families gathered, "now I believe every person deserves a second chance, especially the ones who think they don't." The applause was louder this time, But what mattered most to him was Camille's hand slipping into his, their fingers twining together before everyone. She didn't hide it anymore. She didn't care if the world judged. After the guests drifted out, the three of them sat on the front steps of the centre, city lights sparking to life beyond the rooftops. Isabella leaned against her mother, eyelids heavy with sleep, but her voice still curious. So what happens next? Camille brushed a strand of hair from her daughter's face. Next, we keep helping families. We show people that everyone deserves a chance to start over. Even people who did really bad stuff? Isabella's gaze shifted to Noah, her tone solemn in that way only children could manage. Especially them, Noah said gently, because they know how precious it is to be given another chance. They don't take it for granted. Isabella studied him for a long moment, then nodded. That's good. Everybody should get to start over. She nestled closer to her mother, satisfied, and within minutes her breathing evened out into sleep. The quiet that followed was tender, layered with unspoken truths. Camille turned to Noah, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you ever stop thinking about the past? Every night, he admitted. But every morning I think more about the future. Because of you. Because of her. He nodded toward Isabella's small form, curled safely against Camille. Her throat tightened. She'd lived so long braced for disappointment that hope still felt dangerous. But when she looked at Noah, broad-shouldered, steady, scar and all, she didn't see danger. She saw home. Do you believe in second chances? She asked, her words soft, trembling with both fear and faith. For a moment he just looked at her, eyes dark and shining, rain-slick streets reflected in their depths. Then he smiled, slow and certain, the kind of smile that felt like sunrise after a storm. Only if it's with me and you. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of release, of joy. She leaned into him, his arm wrapping around her, strong and protective. Their lips met in a kiss that carried every struggle, every fight, every fragile hope they had dared to claim. When they pulled apart, Isabella stirred and mumbled without opening her eyes. No kissing at the party. They laughed softly, hearts lighter than they had been in years. Above them, the stars blinked into view one by one, silent witnesses to a love story that had survived judgment, fear, and the sharp edges of the past. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, families to fight for, battles against systems slow to forgive. But tonight they sat together on the steps of their dream. A woman who had learned not to fear happiness, a man who had clawed his way back from despair, and a little girl wise enough to see that broken things can be mended. And as the city hummed around them, they knew the truth. Second chances weren't just possible. They were worth everything.